Hello, guys. Welcome to the final round, the final live show for this round of Catch Up Book Club, the Firstlawalong, where we will be discussing The Wisdom of Crowds by Joe Abercrombie. Zafina will be with us shortly as well to finish up our discussion of this series. At this point, if you're just tuning in to say hi, there are going to be spoilers pretty much straight off the bat, at least for some part of the first law world as a whole. So I would recommend tuning out and coming back when you have read some of these books, preferably all of them. But we'll get started, I guess, with our basic thoughts and our star rating, starting with Deb, I guess.
I generally like this book. I think it dragged in a few places for me, but I gave it a 4 overall and generally had a good time with it. I'm really glad that this final trilogy worked for me a lot better than most of the rest of the series.
Sandra?
I'm with them. Like, I like this more than the others in the series, but I still give this a 3. I given every book in this a 3, but I gave all the others like 2. So like, I liked it okay, but I feel like this was just the second book but reversed. Like, it was the same book, just we reversed the ending in a way. And like, it annoyed me a bit because I felt like I was reading the book again, if you know what I mean. Maybe. But
Yeah.
but like, so I was just like, what was then the point of the second book in a way? But it was still a good time. I really enjoyed the characters. I think that is why I like this more. But plotting wise, I don't love how Abercrombie plots, I think.
That's fair. I think that this is my least favorite of this trilogy, although still probably one of my favorites. Not a favorite, but like still like a decent one. I gave it a low 4-star in the end because I really liked the end of it and how it kind of came together, but I was kind of thrown off by the beginning. I feel like stuff that we've been building up to for quite a while happened quite quickly, and we didn't really see the happening of it. We just saw the aftermath, and then the aftermath was so boring. So boring. Like the whole second third of this book, I didn't seriously think about DNFing because I obviously was not going to DNF this book, but I could have DNF'd this book like halfway through. And then the end I did enjoy, but I don't know. It didn't go the way I expected it to, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I also do feel like I'm not very happy with how some of it wrapped up. But there's like, it's the characters, like Sandra said, like some of the character arcs I really liked, which is why I ended up giving it a 4 in the end. But yeah, it was definitely not my favorite. So
I felt like this one was less grim. It was extremely grim in general, but it also was hopeful in moments, which I don't really tie into the grimdark genre as a whole. Like, I felt like this one had a little bit of a different tone to it.
We have some very polarizing like ratings in the chat. We've got some 2 stars, we've got some 4s and 5s, but then we also have 2 stars. We have people who have given it like 2.5 while the rest were 5. It did feel really good taking it off my series tracker though. Can confirm.
Absolutely.
I forgot.
I think the pacing of this book was just so weird for me.
I agree.
We're just going to go into spoilers because I mean, come on, what book is it? Number 10. The Workers' Revolution for me, like the way it happened as soon as we started this book, like we kind of missed them and their part in what was happening at the end of book 2. Like they weren't there when they were supposed to be there and supposed to be doing stuff. We kicked off straight into it in this book, and then the actual revolution was just over, and then we spent most of our time with everyone just literally talking in circles, getting absolutely nothing done. And I understand that that was the point of it, but it didn't make it any more enjoyable to read them just talking themselves in circles and going over the same things over and over again. and everything kind of being futile that they were doing. And that was kind of like the whole part for me where I was like close to DNFing. I also just think that a lot happened in this one book. Like every time we got to a section, so the workers' revolution happened, and I was like, okay, cool, like this could end here. And then we got to the part where like everyone went up the tower and some people came down off the tower, and I was like, okay, this book could end here. And then every time I felt like it could end, like we started like a new element of the story, and I was like, okay, but where is this actually going to end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as well, going into this, like we knew it was the last published. We knew it definitely wasn't definitely the last one that was going to be published. And I think we can all say with certainty now that it's not the last one that's going to be published
No.
at the end of that.
Agreed.
What did you guys feel about that with the... Because it's not even like it's open-ended, like it very much is setting up something else.
Yeah, it definitely was, but at the same time, it's almost setting up exactly what we've already seen in some ways with the prophecy. At the end, you've got the one person with the money, and that's like Savine's track. And then you've got the other one, which I assume is more the government and the war and stuff. So I don't know. Like, how different would the next one be?
It seems like Calder has another son. But I don't know where that came from.
Like, because is the next one going to be like a standalone, or is it going to write another trilogy that like just goes nowhere? How many times can he do that? Like, how many trilogies can you write that goes nowhere?
It's the wheel of time all over again. It just comes back.
This is worse than a wheel.
I did actually mention in, I don't know if it was a blog or something, wherever, it must have been the blog that I'm currently editing. This is like, so Wheel of Time and Realm of the Eldlings, both cyclical series, where we're set in a world where everything that is happening has already happened before, and we're just going round and round and round. But the difference between this and Wheel of Time is that in like Wheel of Time and the Realm of the Eldlings, it's the first time that we are seeing these things happen. Whereas in this, we are watching it happen over and over and over again. And it is getting a little bit tedious. Especially because, like, as you guys said, we very much seem to have like the same players again setting up for the third iteration of this. I did some very, very brief research when I finished the book. And hello. It seems to be that he is publishing, like I said, it was very brief, so I didn't look into it like a lot. But it seems to be it's going to be like another couple of standalones and another trilogy again.
Oh, wow. So he's going to do the same thing one more time.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like...
one more time.
Sorry, what did I miss? Don't tell me this is Joe Abercrombie writing more about this world.
Well,
what else should it be? What else should it be? But it's a bit weird, maybe, I guess, to complain about it, because obviously Sanderson is doing the same thing. But I feel like at least his books are a bit different.
Okay, I haven't even read a single Sanderson book, and I know like a lot of them are based in like different worlds and stuff like that. And I think the most important thing that I know about Sanderson, even though I haven't even read a single book, is the fact that like he has magic. Like there's magic in his books. You know, books like advertised as fantasy have magic.
Will we ever read a series where Zafina isn't complaining about magic? Let's say challenge.
Well, I was thinking about which books you have read. I mean, like, there is magic, and I don't even know.
Is the magic in Realm of the Eldlings? It's more like there's fantastical elements, but there's
no.
not.
I mean, there's dragons.
See, that's the thing. That's why I was thinking about this right after finishing this, and I was like, out of the 3 series we've read for this book club, only one of them has had a good ending. And only like, and I was just like, wow.
Well, the
first one has no ending. It's not done
technically yet. Technically, we know what the like at least the concepts of the canon ending, because Martin said that it was the same ending technically as the show, but it's just like different how they got there. But like the gay werewolf, sorry, not werewolves. The gay wolf thing is the only thing that's like been happy this whole time, and I'm just like,
what is the gay wolf thing?
Gay wolf thing.
Like at the end of Robin Hobb's books?
I haven't actually read the ending. I just procrastinated it.
I won't go into it. All you need to don't even worry. I just said gay
Well,
wolves.
now you know
Wolves
they're
gonna be
turning
like-
into gay werewolves. You don't need
Well,
to.
there's no werewolves. I don't know
It
where that
wouldn't
came from.
surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
No, I've been reading TJ Klune. That's why werewolves came out, but it's a gay wolf thing.
Yeah, the books aren't going to come out quickly. He has no announcement, no official. He's not said officially that he's doing anything. This is information that's come from interviews and stuff that people have asked about what he potentially has in mind. But yes, he's publishing The Devils next year.
And is The Devils a standalone or is that a series? I remember we talked about it and I can't remember what the consensus was.
I would assume it is a series, but I haven't looked into it that much.
It looks like at least the start of something new.
Has
High School
everyone
Musical.
already? Sorry, have you all done your ratings already? Sorry.
Yes, you can do yours. Go ahead.
Sorry, can you all recap what yours were?
Well, if you were here on time, Zach.
I had pimple patches on and I didn't want to like.
Did you have pimple practice?
The worse you look, the better.
Yeah, there was like patches on my face. Sorry, guys, this has nothing to do with the book.
I give it a 4, like a very low 4-star, but it was my least favorite of the trilogy.
Okay.
Mine was a 4 also.
Okay.
I give it a 3, like everything else.
You know what's really painful for me? I feel like there was a certain way things were going, and I was like, "Oh, I'm digging this. Oh, this is so good." And it was like that entire midsection, like when it was getting to that midsection, I was like, "Oh, this is really, really good." And then when we're getting to that 60 to 70% mark, I was eating it up. And then Leo happened, and I was like, "I hate this. I hate it. I absolutely hate the direction of everything." And I was just like, honestly, now I'm just like, it was heading like a high 4 for me, and like even certain parts were peaking at a 5, and then now I'm just like 3. I'm so unsatisfied, and even then I feel like 3 is too generous for me, but I'm so unsatisfied.
Yeah, I had the opposite kind of opinion where I nearly DNF'd it up until the Leo thing happened, because like of everyone talking in circles and not achieving anything and just being more and more irritating. The Leo thing was unsatisfying and very upsetting, but at least it was more interesting than what was happening before. It was dramatic.
I think we'll go into like how the entire book felt, but I felt kind of similarly. I was like, the entire first part kind of felt like a slog, but I was like, okay, maybe this is building up to something. But I feel like for that ending, I want my time back to a degree. I was like, this felt like too much of an investment for what you gave me. But
I also had this thought while I was reading, because the whole point is that they're essentially the same character and that you marry your father, etc., etc. The difference is that Glokta never fucked anybody over that we liked. The problem is not Leo's actions. The problem is that Orso is the best character. And that is the issue with Leo for me.
I think Leo also hates himself more than Glokta.
Also, like, Orso is not the best character anymore, because Orso is...
Okay, you can still be a good character even if you're gone.
And
you can still be the best character.
I mean,
when I finished the book, I was like, is there any way that we can like get out of this? Is there any way that maybe he fell through a trapdoor and just run off?
To be honest, that's my headcanon. Because they didn't say anything afterwards. It was just like, so I'm like,
well, and we had the whole thing about how the hanging apparatus was screwing
and you
up.
let me gaslight myself
and all that.
I think the thing that really upset me about the Orso situation as well is that what was the point in Savine setting him free? The only point in Savine releasing him was so that Rika could turn him in to complete the prophecy. Like, there was no point in him escaping, and it was upsetting.
Yeah.
It was definitely given this could have been an email, but the point, I guess, was is that they were so disorganized that they couldn't string an email together if they tried.
They could not.
I think as well for Leo, Glokta had to earn his power after he came back and had been tortured, whereas Leo was kind of handed it a little bit more, I think. He also felt very entitled to it, and the feelings for Leo are very fresh. Like when we meet Glokta, Glokta's already so many years like past this, whereas Leo is it's just happened. And I think that's what makes him worse. And oh my god, Leo was my favorite character in book one.
His descent went so quick in this trilogy. Like his character arc was just a plummet.
It was so bad. It's one of the I don't know whether I'm more upset about also dying or Leo just like descending into being the worst.
And then we had the whole thing with him like not connecting with his children, but using his son to take the throne, basically. I kept wanting Savine to come in and say, and by the way, they're not yours. Like, bring back the incest babies. Like, I was looking for that development.
This is
We
what I
wanted the
was
incest babies instead.
I was hoping for Ricker to take him back to the north, and then he could be the king of the north, and then everyone could fight again. That would have been more fun. I think he would have been a great king of the north.
Let her do whatever she wants, because
Yeah.
he doesn't know what to do.
Like, she could have kept him as like a little pet next to the throne, and he would have loved it. Just living his best life. Yeah, it was the way that it was very much like a. I don't know. It almost felt that whole section almost felt like it was an afterthought. Like I feel like this series could have been 4 books, and we could have stopped this book. We could have stretched out the Workers' Revolution a bit more and stopped this book with like Judge falling off the tower, and then had like another book where it's because like all of this stuff where he was released and then the next time we saw him he was captured. It's like, what's the point apart from just to wrap up some loose ends? But it seems like a long way. The way that it was done, it was almost like this prophecy. He forgot that he needed to wrap it up, and then he had to find a way to wrap it up. So like it was almost an afterthought. And yeah,
I feel like he writes like he doesn't plan anything. It's just like it will work itself out, and then it's like, oh shit, and then he just like adds a paragraph.
Ghost was also sad, and it's also sad that his sacrifice was for nothing because also never made it out. Like I expected them to be on another ship and then they would just disappear. You know how we have characters that just disappear and never come back in First Law all the time? I expected him to just sail off on a different ship that they never detained, and then him to come back as like a side note in like a future book. But no. Oh yeah, the long guy wasn't working for a while. But she could have confessed that to somebody at some point without it being for this.
So are we going into the point of the thing where we actually talk about our thoughts?
On what?
Everything. So, like, on what you just said,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I hear what you say if we stretched out into 4 books, but I genuinely felt myself like, and you know me, whether like I do not DNF. Even if I freaking hate something, I will just sit through it and just like take my time, even if it takes me over a year. But I actually felt the soul of the DNF penetrating my skull with like how the first like third or something was going. And again, like I liked Savine's bits because I just really like her as a character. I find her really intriguing, and also really coming up with seeing his foolishness in his face. It felt a bit more delayed, but again, like okay. I remember there was this bit earlier on where it was literally in the beginning where he's leading Leo and Savine to some place, and then all those people come in and they're like, oh my god, the young lion, blah 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 blah. And then someone's trying to hurt Hildy, and then like there's a line or something about someone's head like he's like, oh, get off of her, etc. And then he's like trying to hit the guy who's hurting the girl. And then there's this line which is like, oh, and then there was like blood on his skull, etc. And my heart stopped. I was like, oh my god, did that happen to Orso? And I was just like, okay, cool. Then it was like, okay, it's not happening to Orso. And then I was like, why did I give a shit? Like, what was all that for at the end? There was just like, there were these little things that were happening, and I was just like, I do kind of care. I am a socialist. I care about people being given equal opportunities, etc. But something that Becca said in the last time we did one of these, which was, I don't care about the common people in this book because they haven't made us care about the common people. So if they stretched this into 4 books, I think I would go insane because so much of it is about the common people, and they are freaking idiots. They act so stupidly over and over again. And I think it's so evident with this whole breakers and burners bullshit, because what the hell were the burners? What actually was the point of all of that? Oh, great, they're really like malevolent and they do a lot of damage. That's it. You'll let these dumbass bitches and Judge do whatever she wants for what? Like, it's so stupid.
But actually, one of the plot twists in this book that I actually really, really, really love, like the best thing about this entire book, was for Glokta to be the guy at the end who was responsible for all of it. And then when they were like, why the fuck did you do this? He's like, to get rid of Bayaz. And he has. Like, Bayaz has no power anymore, and that was like the one thing in this that was like genius. And it was also the one thing in this that isn't something that's been done over and over and over again. Like, it felt new, it felt fresh, I didn't see it coming.
And the way that they kind of referred to him and Audie as like Savine's mom, Savine's dad, they didn't say their names, they just said like it was her mother, her father, and I was just like, I kind of like that. I kind of appreciate the way that was unraveled. But the main thing is just like I really hated dealing with the breakers trials and the burners trials, and they all just felt it was just like way too long and way too redundant. And I just feel like we see also struggle through all of this for what? And I get like there's a level of pointlessness, especially like when you're reading about politics that's happening in real time. But it's just like,
so like I get they bring in like actual like we hold these truths to be self-evident, like they bring in like why like I don't know what point he was trying to get across with that.
Something that I did find interesting about this is that we did kind of revert back to the original system, because I know that we talked about how like way back on the first book of the series we were talking about the Industrial Revolution and like the workers like rising up. And I know somebody in the comments said that Joe Abercrombie is like a massive history nerd. So then I was actually very surprised where this was kind of all just like a tool for the powerful people in the world and didn't actually kind of result in anything. Because with the world kind of moving through a realistic kind of like pace of history with the Industrial Revolution, and then how that has all of the people in the mines and the people in the mines feeling the way that they did like it when it happened in England way back when. I'm surprised that he then didn't carry on with that kind of like social revolution and took it back to.
I think the initial part of it was meant to be like the French Revolution, because especially like a lot of it has like allegories to the French Revolution, like the storming of the Bastille, like them talking about like how they want to do things to the nobility as a symbol, etc. Like it's similar. I think the whole thing with the dude who invented the guillotine, and then I think he himself was like guillotined like shortly after. And it was like, okay, so it was all like, again, like it's funny enough, similarly to what you said earlier, like a self-realizing prophecy in that kind of way. But I do think that like they decide, like exactly as you said, like it was kind of Glokta just trying to get rid of that system, but you need to have powerful pawns to be able to control people, as opposed to people having their own place. And people, I think this entire experiment has also been really important for people to realize they don't know how to govern themselves. Like in this specific world state, they do not know how to govern themselves, and they need to be led. Especially when you're talking about a situation where like other people have long-term allies and bonds to other countries, etc. And when you have people who do have some kind of powerful magic manifestations, but it just like wasn't really there for this book, so I don't care about that as much. But still, yeah, I'm always gonna complain about that. I'm sorry. I hope the next series has more stuff. I will stop talking.
A lot of people didn't pick up on that Hildy was the blonde girl at the end. I did pick up on that. The son, did we know that Calder had another son? I only knew that he had a son from this end bit where I'm like, well, that must be what they're talking about. But I don't think I remember ever seeing him before, because Clover recognized him, but I don't remember ever hearing about him existing.
I don't either.
I'm interested to see where all of that's going to... It sounds good, the way that they set it up. I'm like, yes, it sounds good. But I don't... Also, like, because theoretically, he is potentially doing standalones before he does another trilogy. is the trilogy going to follow these, or is it going to be the standalones? Because that's less exciting.
The fact that I liked this trilogy more than any of the previous books does make me think that I would pick up another one in this world, but cautiously.
I feel like
it's
10 books
super
deep,
high.
so I have to, but also like if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be 10 books deep, because I definitely would have struggled to continue at points.
Agreed.
But maybe like since this was like his best one out of all of the others, maybe the next ones would just be better. Just like it's been a couple of years between like this and whenever comes next.
I just hope that he has a long-term plan in how many books he intends to publish. The information I think I got was from Reddit, where they said that it will be a final trilogy after the standalones. So like I'm hoping that is the case, but I haven't looked into him very much. You know, like how Sanderson posts like the state of Sanderson, so you always know what his intentions are, and like super good at following through and actually doing what he says he's going to do. I don't follow Joe Abercrombie like that, so I don't know like what his long-term goals and stuff is. Oh, he was training when Clover went to negotiate with Calder. Fair.
Oh, I vaguely remember that, but it didn't click.
It's interesting that Hildy is with Bayaz, just because I know that there was this whole thing about how she's really good with money. So like it makes sense for her to be doing what she's doing. But just because of how close she was to Orso, I wouldn't expect her to go running straight back to Bayaz straight away. But maybe she's just in it for herself. But then also she is a kid. So
what's he gonna do for her now though? He's like fucking dead. Like
I know, but like I don't. If someone like killed my parent, I wouldn't go like hang out with their enemy. Just for fun. Like I'd be upset about it, you know.
Well, maybe she knows Orso's alive, and so it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
he's just gone to the same place the Bloody Nine went.
Yeah,
I mean,
oh my god, I can't remember what that girl was called, who is with Rika. But when they said that their grandma was the Bloody Nine in disguise, I was like, they made a joke about it. When she said she was visiting and going to visit her grandmother, and somebody said, "Is your grandmother the Bloody Nine in disguise?" And I was like, "Is it though? Like that could be a thing."
I'm not gonna lie, they like saying stuff like that because literally earlier on in this book, Savine was like, "Oh, and Zuri eats people," and then closer to the end, it's like, "Oh."
Yes.
He loves saying stuff like, "Oh, let me just say something crazy out of pocket," and it's like always exactly the thing.
That reminds me actually, because saying things crazy and out of pocket, I said at the beginning of this trilogy, I said, "Is Zori that woman in the white bandages that's always hanging around in the standalones?" And I can't remember who she was hanging about with. And y'all were like, nah, I still think that's not, no, because like, and then is she? But I still stand by, because the whole thing, I don't, do all eaters wear bandages? Or is that a her thing?
I don't know.
I don't remember it being associated with anybody apart from the one in the standalones and Zuri in here, which I don't know if the bandages are supposed to be an indicator that that's who it is, because she then said like, "Oh, like I am Zuri now. I've been Zuri for a while. Who I was before doesn't matter, but I'm really old. I've been around for a long time." But when we were talking about that, we were saying that Zuri is described as brown and the other girl was described as black.
Well, it's a spectrum of colors, you know, like depending on the light. And like brown people can share pigmentation that looks that dark, so
everyone says they've only heard of her wearing them. I don't remember any specifics about any female eaters. Oh, but then why would it be gender specific that the females wear bandages? I feel like if it was gender specific, then you definitely need an explanation as to why.
maybe it's just a her thing. Like I do kind of get that sentiment.
I can't remember what the other one's called, so I can't Google it.
I think because we read these so far apart at this point, it's like really hard for my brain to like.
Isn't that like 2 years ago since we read the first one?
Nah, I would say it was like last year, no? Because it was like 6.
Well, 10 books every other month. That's about almost 2 years.
Don't do this to me.
I mean, it was like yesterday, really. No time has passed.
Hop took us like God knows how many years. I don't even want to think about this.
Yeah, she's called Ishri, the other one, who is Zuri, assumedly. So this actual post that I'm reading is people speculating that Zuri is Ishri before the last book was published.
Look at Becca being smart.
People are so clever. People are like, Glokta's directly working with Khalul and the Breakers and Burners to take down Bayaz. Obviously, I could be wrong, but all signs are pointing to it. I'm like, bitch, where?
To be honest, when people have to... it's like when you are sitting with a book for so long, I get it. Like, especially when you're like proper taking your time with it. And I think one of my problems with this series as well is the sense that like I always read these like a day or two out of like us having to do the live show. I don't sit with them enough. So I can imagine like it's probably easier to theorize when you're taking a bit more time with them. But I think like for me, this series has been a bit of a mission. Like Joe Abercrombie's writing has been a bit of a mission to get through. And it's not that I don't find it interesting. I'll definitely have specific characters and plot lines and undertones I'll really, really appreciate. And as he's apparently a history buff, you can definitely see how he's taken inspiration. He's writing back in a lot of senses to not only just some philosophers, but like other books, etc. And that's why it was really interesting. Like one of the parts starts with a Karl Marx quote. I was like, okay, that's really on the nose for you, but okay. But like, and I appreciate it. Like I understand that it's like humanizing like politicians, royalty, and also like to a degree the everyday man and people who are just trying to make the most of a situation. But I just think it was like, I don't know, there's just I think my problem is my own personal attachments, and this is something I will completely take credit for, is it's my own personal attachments to certain characters are stopping me from fully appreciating what he's doing with the book. So I can't look at it completely objectively because I'm so annoyed with what happened with Leo, and also, and I hate the fact that Leo has half won when I don't think he deserved to after everything. And also, I really hate how he treats Savine. And I'm just out here like, I just wish you banged your friend, got your like self-hatred and your gay desires out of your system in some way, shape, or form. Like, it's okay to be bi or pan or anything. Just do that and stop projecting that kind of insecurity onto every other situation just because you feel so powerless. It's so irritating that it's like so evident in that way. And I was just like, this to me made it so frustrating to like appreciate what he did with the ending in itself as well as what he did with the character. And I don't know. It's just
I think
they didn't really. I was just gonna say they didn't really explore Leo's sexuality. Continue.
I can't even remember what I was going to say because I'm distracted. Oh, I think the thing with Joe Abercrombie is that, like, because we spend so much time theorizing, like, I wonder if this is a thing, I wonder if this is a thing, and then Joe Abercrombie just goes, like, no, none of these things are things, they are just what they are. I then don't think too hard about stuff. So when it tells me that, because, like, one of the posts on this, I think it's a First Law wiki. Yeah. Oh, it's the First Law section of Reddit. Somebody says like, I don't believe for a second that Pike's responsible for the entire revolution, and I'm like, yeah, no, like thinking about it now, it actually doesn't make any sense, but I'm willing to take anything Joe Abercrombie says and be like, yeah, that's totally plausible, because a lot of the times we've had these threads or like super interesting things that are happening that go absolutely nowhere, that I'm like, if he says something that doesn't make sense, I'm like, I'm just taking it at face value at this point.
It's a bit annoying though, like I feel like he sets him up smarter than he is and then tricks everyone to think he's super smart, but then he just doesn't bother. Or maybe he's so smart that he could have done all these things, but he wants to not do that to frustrate people on purpose. Because he's grim dark.
Yeah. But also, how long is Bayaz's lifespan? Like, why is this man still trying?
He needs
like,
to
go
go
somewhere else
to
and quit.
I just got really distracted because I found a thread on Reddit that's called Call Fucking Shivers Appreciation Post. And I'm like, yeah.
On the subject of Call Shivers, I am very unhappy.
Oh, what's he done now?
No, because I know you hated that book, but the one book I really liked
Oh yeah.
My Assassin's Creed ass book. I forgot what it's called. Best of Cold. I really wanted like a reunion or something between him and like Monza or whatever her name was. I forgot.
You might still get one because they're not super old, are they? How old Shiver's? Like late 30s.
I want to say he's older than that at this point.
I don't think he is because he was
40s.
younger than. So Glokta's like 60, 70, right?
Mm.
And he was a teenager in the first trilogy. Wasn't he like 17 or something?
Shivers, yeah.
So he'd be like late 30s now.
Fair. Yeah, like 30s, early 40s. I see that.
So
But
he's
I'm just
got
like,
another 20, 30 years in him as long as. Which we're not going to go to war in between books. We're not just going to come to the next book and Shivers is dead. So.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. You just killed off all our characters for like the first ones in these. Like, oh. Yeah, you were like, bye.
I just really wanted some situation with him and Monza, and I know that's like completely selfish of me because I just wanted to see what happened if they met each other again. Like I just wanted to see that drama. But then I'm also kind of like
standalones is a romance, just romance, and that's it.
It's not a romance, but it's more so just like I wanted to see just the situation because of how much he's changed as a person, and like we went through this entire situation with Monza and her being like, no, I will not be falling for your stupid bank antics. And there were no repercussions for that. She's just been fine. This entire time people have been chatting shit about her, but she's been fine. And I'm just like
back now. So maybe she will play a role in the next book. Along with maybe Pharaoh, because I think I can't remember it specifically, but I think someone in the chat said that they're hinting to magic coming back and being a more present part of the next books, in which case this would be relevant if she has indeed had a kid. Because she was very magical, and so Logan also has magic powers.
I would love the return of Logan just because I'm trash.
No, he might be dead by the time we get to the next books.
I feel like Abercrombie plays with time. I mean, because Glokta, with all of his physical issues, to be as active as he still is by the end of this book at his age is pretty impressive. But, you know, he needed to stick around for the big reveal about his involvement.
I am a big Shivers fan, which is wild considering.
Logan can be dead. We will see him again. He could be in like the first chapter of the next book, be like, hi guys, and then he like tells them something important, and then like he just tilts over and dies.
It was sad because I remembered at some point in this book that Giselle died at the end of the first book, and I was like, why is Joe Abercrombie out to get me?
you always like a dumbass. You love just a baby girl coded boy that's a dumbass.
I like a golden retriever.
You like an idiot.
He's not an idiot. I like it's the like kind of swaggering Prince Charming vibe that I like the preening
from Shrek.
No, not from Shrek.
Well, he's also a dumbass in golden retriever vibes.
I don't know, man. I think
she does love a himbo. That's it. She likes a himbo.
Nikolai in the Grisha trilogy was the first character I read like that, and now every time I see a Nikolai character, I'm like, yes.
I have yet to read
himbo. It is a himbo. It's true. It's himbo energy.
Does Curtis have himbo energy?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm shocked. Surprised.
I have like many different types, and it depends which one. There's also like a himbo is like my fictional type, but like in real life, I could never. I'd just be too annoyed all the time. Glocka is clinging on ours, like.
True.
Oh, I love that though.
So will Leo.
I was thinking this, funnily enough, this exact thing that you just replied, as you replied, like, how many of these characters are just parallels of each other? And like, yes, there's a whole thing of like, she married her father, but you marry your mother, blah, 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 right? But also like, there was an interesting mirroring during Savine's trial where she's holding Audie, her daughter, which is, and like even how the babies were characterized, how like the son who is named after like Leo's dad, he's more of a whimpering, mewling baby seeking attention and needing validation, as opposed to the Audie baby is more firm. She knows what she wants. She will eat like as much as she can take. And it was just like really, really interesting, like kind of seeing that dichotomy, because it seems similar to their characters. Leo is in desperate need of validation and affection and like just wanting everything, but like massive baby boy vibes. And then Savine is just very, very direct. She knows what she wants. She's very, very focused. And like, even though that's just their crying and feeding habit. So it was just really interesting to see that parallel there. And then when her trial is happening, she doesn't pick up her son. She picks up her daughter. And it's like, you would think, especially in this kind of patriarchal society, that, oh, she would maybe pick up her boy and it'll be like, oh, the mother raising the new leader, blah, blah, blah. But no, she picks up her daughter. One, because she knows that her daughter's going to be the one who will continue to latch. And like they continue to talk about it. It's kind of like, I feel like even how they talk about breastfeeding is kind of in a way that characterizes and it's talking about the situation a bit more, because the son has a hard time latching on. And it's something that really, really frustrates Savine, as opposed to Audie, like baby Audie. She latches really, really easily and she'll just eat. And that's why she wanted that kind of reliability. She went to her daughter. She had her whole speech, etc. It moved her boobies around while she's like going through the court case, etc. But I was just like finding that really, really intriguing and like showing different parts of Savine's character, but also just the levels of how calculated she is and how smart she is. She knows her kids really, really well. And like, I thought that, like, generally, I sometimes have a hard time with how like men write women, and I agree. I like appreciate that he kind of like does have this air of like equality between the genders in some regards, but I also there were certain scenes where like maybe it's just because of how Rika is raised, but it's like there's certain scenes where I'm like, I don't think a girl would do that. Like, I don't feel like that's written as like how a woman would have actually acted in this situation. And you could be like, oh, maybe because Rika's like raised around a bunch of men. Like, for example, when she just goes out basically half nude, or she's having an argument with Nail. And I was like, I think she thinks she's that dumb, when on top of that, she's like semi-disabled. Like, I don't think she's just going to be like, look at me half naked as I have an argument because I'm so angry. Like, she's not going to do that. That's a man thing. Men are that stupid.
I think, could it not be as well due to not just how she was raised around men, but how society, like the people around her, don't view her as a woman to be treated the way that like Savine is treated. Like Savine could never do it, but because of their society, Rika can, because they don't have those strict. Because like we would behave more like men if we weren't treated like women, you know. If that makes sense. Like, it's not because we're a woman that we're not going to go out in the streets naked. It's because society has told us that we can't go in the streets naked, you know?
No, but more so, it's freaking winter.
Well, yeah, there is that. But that's an issue for men as well.
Yeah, but men are stupid. Let me not say this in a live show.
This trilogy in particular was so focused on the women. I mean, we had all the pregnancy stuff, all the giving birth stuff. There was a lot of period talk in this book, and cramps and inconvenient time, and her having to wince and get past the fact she's in pain to create a law. And it was just it was a lot.
I do hate men writing about pregnancy and periods. Not even to say that Joe Abercrombie did it badly. I just don't like it, because it's like Savine's cramps, okay, there are lots of women who have things like endometriosis, and cramps are a killer. Like, that is the thing. But a man writing that she's like really struggling to get through it because she's got cramps, I'm like, can we not?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. It is my blood moon at this very moment. So as I was reading, I was relating. So I was like, I'm not mad at this. I feel seen. To a degree, there is like this, like obviously this level of resentment where like a man wrote this and he'll never understand this level of pain. But like, then I was like, to be honest, I'd rather see it than not see it, because I'm so tired of reading these kind of things. And it's like, okay, but what about all the women that have to, like, literally there's wars happening in this world right now. What about all the women who are suffering through it without any sanitary situation, or like dealing with the pain, raw dogging it? Like, so I was like appreciating that it was kind of explicit in that regard.
It just seemed like every significant moment they were in, they happened to be on their period. Like,
yeah,
they couldn't be talking.
I'm going to war on my period. It's real hard. Like, Okay. I can't remember what I was. Oh, you were talking about characters mirroring each other, and something that I thought was interesting is that when we got to the end of the book and Savine just owning Leo and like putting people on the board so that you can't have majority vote was just like amazing. But also, I felt like the situation that they ended up in was kind of like Giselle and whatever his wife was called.
Only they did F all. Like it was still like they weren't really ruling. And in this situation, I feel like Savine actually wants to rule.
True, but
I agree with you.
Was made a point of that it's like it wasn't Giselle's fault. Like he had good ideas and he wanted to do them, but like at that point he didn't really do anything about wanting to do it. Not that he could have done anything, but like he also didn't try. Which I mean, I get, and I was actually upset that they were being so mean about it in this book. Like, what do you expect a boy to do? But yeah, just the way that the marriage ended up like a hostile situation where they were kind of, I forgot that Curtis was out and I was like, why is my front door open? But yeah, where their marriage ended up in this like situation where they're essentially just like blackmailing each other into being civil reminded me a lot of Giselle and his wife.
Like Gone Girl.
Yes. Like Gone Girl.
But I would also think though, like in the nicest way, what does Leo know? Like genuinely, what does he know about
entitlement and privilege?
How
like,
to long for his friend that he never had.
It's like he had this moment earlier on where he accepted that, like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this. I should have just kept myself in check, etc. I should have just listened. I should have not been a dumbass. And then he proceeds to be a dumbass anyway. But it's like, what do you even know? It's like at the end, he just comes full circle, and it's like again wanting that, like, oh look, mother, I did something very big, and I didn't have your help. I don't know. It felt like that a bit.
The perfect example of you're not sorry that you did it. You're sorry you were caught. Like, you're not sorry that you went to war with Orso, you're sorry that you had to face serious consequences for your actions. So, like, you're going to do it again because you see the opportunity to do it again without consequence, not because you were sorry you ever did it in the first place. And it's worse as well. It's worse when he does it again because he doesn't even have a sense of honor to uphold anymore because he feels like he lost all of that when he lost, like, his arm and his leg. And so now he's just doing whatever he can to hold on to any sort of relevance because he can't be like the dashing young warrior that rides into battle anymore. So he'll just screw over whoever he has to have some sort of relevance in the world at this point.
Yeah. I just feel like he should be murdered. I'm so over him being alive.
I mean, knowing Abercrombie's going to die like in the next first book.
Abercrombie's going to die?
No, like Leo.
Leo.
I hope not.
Like, something a bit dark.
I don't think he deserves that. Just that Leo's a bit of a shithead.
I just feel like you had the whole thing in book 2 where Leo was taken for treason or whatever, and then Orso won, and we were like, yay! And then it just like we did the same, just it was the opposite, and I was like, what was the point of book 2?
I will say that I never believed Savine wanting to do good. Like, it just doesn't track with me. Like, her sudden switch to... Because we were talking about how the fact, like, what happened with her in, was it Valbec? We were like, oh, like, she's, instead of becoming somebody who sees the harm that she's done and wanting to improve it, she's actually doubling down and, like, causing more harm. For her then to just like rapidly switch and be like, I'm going to save orphans now, like it just didn't feel realistic. Like she would make that sudden transition, and so I didn't like. I appreciated where she was at the end of the book because she was more like back to her normal, like kind of conniving self, while still doing some good in the world. But that sudden shift to altruism, while I understood how she was like doing things to save her family so it appeared that she was charitable so that the burners and the breakers wouldn't come for her, like I never believed that was like truly genuine because it was such a quick switch from like where she was not that long ago.
I do agree with that, but I also agree with like what Jenny just put in the comments because I'm like, it's the point of the doing of the thing that makes it rather than the intentions, because in the end of the day you can still do something for multiple reasons, and I think we've seen her break like at her lowest, and that fundamentally changed her to a degree. And I think then also that whole pregnancy situation where she felt like she was literally going to die, like that also changed her, and like that capacity for love that she got after she had her kids, which was something she never understood or thought she would have before. That, like, all those things have kind of changed her to a degree. And I would rather someone who is like a calculated and selfish leader rather than someone who is like purely a good leader but an idiot.
Yeah, I did like how smart she was, and the whole trial thing, which was a little bit weird. We got into like Law and Order, the whole segment there, but I did really like just how smart she was to bring the kids in with her and to put on this front. And I agree, I don't think she's 100% selfless with any of this, but I did like seeing her brains, and that we had a strong female smart character making appropriate decisions.
Is he? Sulta's dead now, isn't he? Yeah. This reminds me, there is a character I want to see more of that we haven't seen in ages, and it is Vitari's husband. Because that was the big reveal, wasn't it, at the end of Best Served Cold, that he's an eater? Because wasn't he a perspective in Best Served Cold, and then it turns out that he's the father of Vitari's children, and we know
he has a name because he was in the first trilogy.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it is. Let me look at my First Law wiki.
You need an app.
Also,
Someone made an app like we were fun.
No, Shiloh. Is Shiloh her name? Is she called Shiloh Vitari?
Shanked, people are saying?
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds right.
How does people remember things?
I couldn't be me. I'm so bad at character names.
Same.
What?
What have you unveiled?
Somebody thinks that a barman. Wait, what book is TTWP?
The Trouble with Peace?
The Trouble with Peace. Okay, so there is a barman in a Styrian bar in The Trouble with Peace who is one of Vitari's kids. It says the only one I can think we can be reasonably sure is in the new trilogy is the barman from the Styrian bar. My mother calls me Cass. He says he has pale skin, spiky red hair, and beard, and his accent is an odd mixture of Styrian Union and something else. His traits are a mixture of both Shank and Vitari, and the name as well. Apparently, I don't know who this person is. But then somebody in the comments is theorizing the judge is also one of their kids, but which I doubt at this point because it would have been revealed.
I feel like these are people who have read this multiple times, word for word for word, parsing out details that I completely missed.
Yeah, there we go.
On the subject of kids, I hope Glokta just kills Leo. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out there. Like, oh, I really hate how you're treating my daughter. Oh, goodbye. Or like, get someone to kill him.
It wouldn't be that hard. He only has one leg. Just trip him on the stairs. He's going down.
Maybe. I couldn't forget his last name, so Casimir Danshanked. Yes.
That makes sense then.
Oh my god, there is so much shit in this. Like, now they're talking that there is a character referenced only twice in the Blade itself, in 2 chapters. One I weirdly remember. It's called A Road Between Two Dentists, and I remember that chapter, and that's so weird because it's not like the first ever book. But anyway, they think that the character is shanked. And there's a whole thing about why.
Okay, what Charlotte said about the barman, that does ring a bell. Being with Vic.
I literally don't remember this at all.
I remember the disgusting booze more so than the barman. But like that.
I do think Vic is an underrated goat in this. Like,
I know Vic, we stand Vic.
Yeah,
I love Vic.
The betrayal of the kid was sad. Where she'd gone through like all of this stuff and she was so conflicted, and she was like, she really wanted like she knew that she shouldn't trust him or like shouldn't love him, but she did, and she went back for him, and that's what fucked her over. Well, it didn't in the end because it worked out all right, but he was just like one of Glokta's spies.
But in the end of the day, like her and Glokta were aiming for the same thing, kind of.
But that's only because she didn't know.
Yeah.
If she'd have known, it would have been different. Oh well, would it have been different because she left?
I think she's done now because she's like, you know what? Because she said something along the lines of like, I've repaid my debt. I'm done.
I think that her whole storyline was her kind of like breaking free from all of the guilt and obligation that she feels like she has. Mm-hmm. And because it was this book, wasn't it, where it was revealed exactly what she did to, like, because she sold out a bunch of people in the mines, didn't she? And her brother was like, I'll never forgive you. So that was revealed in this book. So that's why she holds so much guilt because of what she did. But she kind of broke out of that eventually when she started moving against Pike and was taking like a more risky route than the safe route. And then eventually like broke out of the whole cycle altogether and was like, fuck this, I'm out, and left.
I'm with Jana. Wish I liked this series more because there's so many details people noticed. I can't be bothered.
I know.
I feel the same.
And I think we went really hard with the theories in the first trilogy, and it amounted to nothing. So I do feel like we've given up quite a bit since then.
That, and then like my favorite kind of theories are always lore-related theories, which then like tune into characters. But I think because I just like I didn't. It's not that I didn't care, but it's like I wasn't as engrossed in like lore and stuff because it carries on amounting to nothing, as you just said, Becca. I'm just like what's the point? Like, what's the point?
It's like if you read Branderson. Oh my god, Branderson. Like lore stuff there is like very much fun. That's why I enjoy reading him so much. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you will like that.
I think as well, like a lot of the really cool stuff in this series is character related.
Yeah.
With things like people saying, oh, I think this minor character we sort of briefly hear is this character that we meet later on. And there has always been far too many characters in this series for me to keep track of. Like Ghost, I only know it's Ghost when he speaks and they comment on how high-pitched his voice is, and I'm like, okay, that's that one. But like Tunny and Forrest, I'm just kind of reading them and I'm like, I know I've read you before, but I don't remember exactly who, why, or where. And then I'll read the back and it'll be like, was a general in this war? And I'm like, still do not have a clue. Do not have a clue. There's just, and especially it was the standalones that lost me as well, with how many characters were introduced so rapidly that they were never kind of established before it got into the story. And I was like, I don't know who anyone is.
I mean, I clearly didn't know who anyone was. I didn't even know we were following Logan, so...
Someone mentioned the Eaters being kind of a minor thing for kind of a big concept in the series, and I felt like that too. Like, there were things that were really interesting, and we'd come across them, and I'd be invested, and then I'd almost kind of forget about it, because we'd go a long ways between even talking about it until it came up again.
Vic went to the far country, and obviously we know it's not a great place. But
does anyone? Okay, maybe like usually I am the type of person to be like really reading into like the little, but brain no worky when it came to the end of this thing. Did anyone understand Ruka's like vision at the end?
I knew she got one, but don't know.
There were certain bits where I was like, okay, if the bold weaver is meant to be Bayaz, blah 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 blah. And like in my head, when we were reading about the laughing woman who then like laughs and then it turns into gold, etc., blah blah blah, I was like, oh, that kind of sounded like Savine's whole situation in the sense that she was like really really eccentric in how she dresses, etc., blah blah blah. But then the blackhead boy became a blackhead man and he sat on a hill of bones, blah blah blah. Who?
That's Calder's other son. That's Stower's son.
Okay. What happened to him again? What happened to him?
He's still alive. Like, he was seen around Calder, but nobody knows that he's Calder's son until this point. Okay. So, like, it's implied that Calder has another son and that he's just a random kid that we've seen very briefly before.
That is something that he said before he died, because, like, she was like, oh, Ricker was like, oh, Bethel's line ends with you. And then he's like, oh, well, I guess you don't know everything.
Yeah. But then also there's a blonde boy as well, isn't there? Which I'm assuming is Leo's son.
The black-haired boy, blonde-haired girl. I get what you're saying about the blonde
girl, so maybe it's Ardy. Maybe it's Leo's daughter.
So apparently they were both with Bayaz in this vision, and I think people were saying that blonde girl is meant to be Hildy. That's why she's gone back to Bayaz. But then that girl became a laughing woman. But it's like, because it's saying...
No, but that makes sense, because if she's a laughing woman that turns things into gold, Hildy's really good with money, and that's why she's with Bayaz, because Bayaz is the founder of Valiant and Bilk.
Yeah. But I'm also kind of like, if it's like a vision, someone becoming someone else doesn't necessarily mean it's them changing into that other person. It could just be like, you know, when you see an animation and it kind of animorphs. Yeah, like a part of me is also like, is that like, I don't think time is completely there, because she was like, oh, she saw Ufrith burn again, and I'm just like, could this be an amalgamation of history as well as the future and present, etc.? But so I'm just like, yeah,
it's like, I don't even remember what hair color people have. So someone saying that they see a blonde girl will tell me absolutely nothing.
But if Hildy is meant to be this blonde girl who then is like really, really good with money, and then she ends up controlling the entire North in some way, and the black-haired boy, that makes it seem like Calder's other son is with Bayaz.
Potentially, because he's not with Calder anymore.
Yeah.
He just disappeared.
Yeah.
That gets resurrected.
Bayaz made a deal with Calder to become the king of the North, so there is potential for Calder to have gone to Bayaz and given him his son.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, if she just saw all of that, you would assume that Ricka's a bit more worried, because she's currently the ruler of the North.
Well, when she goes to tell everyone because she is worried about it, and then she sees how happy everyone is, and she's like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Because they've got years to worry about it anyway, because the kids have to grow.
Fair.
Well, and the dead get resurrected could also be more metaphorical, that all these things are coming back around. The rebellions, the wars, the everything just keeps coming back.
Oh, yeah. Clover went to Bayaz at the end because Ricka, what's the word? Not expelled, exiled him. So he went to Bayaz because Bayaz had summoned him for an interview about teaching swordmanship, and he's talking to a kid. And the kid's like a bit of a brat. And he's like, I'm here to teach you how to use a sword. And the kid's like, yeah, you just stick it in people. And he's like, no. Could have worded
That's
that
what she said.
So, yeah, that's where we're going next. Somebody asked, was it Jenny, about the Shanka? We did discuss it before, and I'm sure that we said last time that we're not north enough to encounter them, because we're more like near England, which is the border between the Union and the North. But I also think that's shady that we haven't seen a Shanka in forever.
It's shady that we haven't seen anything mythological in forever. I apologize. I'm having a banana because I'm very hungry.
Maybe Quill is coming back also. That is possible. True, but they're supposed to plague the North. Like, everywhere you go in the North, you get attacked by Shanka, and that's why the people were coming out of the North. But then maybe when they all united behind Bethard, they did leave the North. Because it's the Hillmen and stuff, isn't it, that have to deal with the Shanka all the time. And the problem is that they were all coming out of the hills to attack everybody else, to claim their land, because their land was covered in Shanka. So maybe since they all united behind Bethard, they're not as north as they were before. I don't think so. They're the Hillmen. The gold thread face woman, that's the Red Witch, right? That was with Bethard.
Literally what Celine said. But I get it. Like, magic is leaving the world. That's why we don't see the spirits again. But I also feel like that's weak, yo. Like, how are you going to start with such a cool, like, thing, and then we don't see it again? Oh, there was ancient magical technology. Let's just destroy it. Oh, there was spirits, but now they're gone. They're going back to bed. Like, shut up.
I thought that wasn't. Oh no, she does control the Shanka because she is the one that was controlling them for Bethod, because Bethod said that he was united the North, including the Shanka, but she doesn't control all of them. She just has. I'm sure she doesn't have all of them. But they're not the Shanka, I don't think, the Hillmen. Are they? Are the Hillmen the Shanka? Do we just call them something different now? I know that the one with golden wire in her face is definitely the Red Witch that was working with Bethod. But I don't know, did she get her face split open? Is that why it's been sewn back together? Because it's the Hillmen are the ones with the carts full of bones, right? And they keep boiling people to get to the bones. So they could be the Shanka, because that's weird as fuck. I thought that they were just like weird, like northern tribal people that were so far north that they were a little bit odd.
I'm with you, Emily.
I read that and I was like, yes.
She is the one that did the thing to Ricka's eye. Ricka went to see her.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, that first trilogy was a long time ago.
I can't remember what it was about this book or the book before that made me realize that she is the Red Witch.
Okay, between the 3 series, I ask, which, like, what did you enjoy the most? Like, out of the 3 series, which trilogy did you enjoy the most?
Trilogy. There's 3 standalones.
So
I'm going to say that the bullshit in between is a trilogy. I'm treating it as a trilogy.
What was the question, Zaf?
What's your favorite trilogy of the 3? Like the first trilogy, the whatever, and then this one.
The last one.
The last one.
Okay, I like the characters in this one, but I would say I like the first one more.
The first one where nothing happened.
1 year ago.
At least there was more magic.
Right.
I believe with the middle one.
Bethod has an alliance with the Shanka through the witch, but the question is what happened to them after he died. Well, they stayed with the witch, right? After Korib died, the surviving Shanka in Bethod's army probably just fucked off back to the mountains like usual. They're out there. Is one comment.
Sorry, I forgot what Shanka are meant to look like. I carry on imagining that they look like insects. They're just like massive insect men.
Bugmen
or something. Well, I can help you out actually, because someone on Reddit has made a sketch of what they think a Shanka might look like. And I can show you that right now. There.
Oh my. That's
my.
Okay, it's so funny because I was imagining like someone with like the body of a bedbug, but then like human limbs. Like this giant flat kind of body with like human limbs.
Definitely not something that could just pass in normal society. they're not walking around undercover.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is not as crazy as what was going in my head. I was just like, ah!
I thought they called them flatheads or something, so I was thinking like
a bed bug.
No, I was thinking like the shark from, is it Shark's Tale?
Which one? The hammerhead?
Like a hammerhead shark?
Hammerhead shark, yeah.
Get me out.
Like, which
I agree, Emily. That would make me move.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, the illustration you show like kind of reminded me of the Gorilla's art style a bit, so I'm not really scared. I'm like, like it's not giving.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone on this the Reddit is just like, they just fucked off back to the north.
Well, with the North going into prison and the war returning and all of that, maybe the next trilogy will start heading more that direction, and we'll see more of them.
Oh my god, it won't. It keeps auto-correcting Krina. And I'm like, stop it. Oh, not Shanks. Shanka.
Honestly, I paid no attention to how Animal looks in this series. I'm just believing what you guys say. That is me.
Honestly, I forgot what some of these people were meant to look like. I have a headcanon. I'm just going with it.
I think Logan has 9 fingers. That's all I know.
He does have 9 fingers. That's what you got that right. Like,
guys, I got 1.
He's called the bloody 9 for that. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
There's a thread here called "Why the hell does Logan?" That's what it does.
And Becca's just on Reddit. Like,
she's just on Reddit. We're just here for Reddit, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can't help anyone, so I'm just gonna read out Reddit.
Yeah, it's like if he could just name more people like Logan 9 figures, it would just help a lot. Hildy the blonde girl.
Savine, 1 vagina. With twins in. I'm just joking.
You're making them sound like punks, Lisa. Oh no. Yeah, I imagine them kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. More like trolls, I guess, than orcs, but like smaller because trolls are massive.
Random side point. I just made a note because I was like looking at the points I'd highlighted through the book. One thing I appreciate about the pregnancy scene was that like the surgeon was like, maybe if you lie on your back it will hurt less. When actually it's been proven that lying like normal, like on your fours or whatever, is actually, or like sitting is more comfortable to give birth as opposed to like lying on your back. And the whole, like, I think like animals do it because apparently like lying on your back is how like so doctors could see your vagina, especially when they're like sawing into your bone and shit like that, like, and they never really changed it. So if things go wrong, yeah, they can help that way, but it's actually not as helpful. So I was like, I appreciated that she was like just yelling at the surgeon, telling him to fuck off and just continue to have the babies in all fours.
I found something where people are talking about what they want from the next trilogy. And everyone thinks it is going to be more magic focused. And somebody's just put in capitals, more Pharaoh.
Isn't Pharaoh Jean my queen? I want her. I want Logan. I just want magic. I want prophecies. I want spirits. I want demons. I want artifacts to come out from underground and start doing shit.
That's funny, actually, because did you write this comment that says, I'm hoping it zooms right past Rickard's vision and starts following a nameless individual making their lonely, dangerous way through a post-apocalyptic, demon-infested world? Like you. Have you muted? What have you done?
I'm a dumbass. Did anything I say be heard?
No.
English, no speak. Okay.
Spirits and stuff.
I was like, Joe Abercrombie, that comment, please. Like, that sounds so freaking, because it's just like, you've just basically told us all this shit. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't give a shit. If you're going to, all of these prophecies, do it in one book and then move on from it, because I want to see what happens afterwards.
Well, isn't the man on a pile of bones? I mean, and she's throwing money. So throw the money, everyone's dead, and then move on.
Well, something that I've just discovered on this thread that I'm reading is I'm going to present these opinions of my own now. We were saying, like, why is Hildy with Bayaz if she was loyal to Orso? Somebody has suggested that it may be because she, with the money of Valent and Balk, she wants to destroy the Brocks and potentially Ricker for what they did to Orso. She will have military support from Blackholder's son, who will likely be an agitator, destroying Savine's work and conquering land so that Hilda can set up her own.
How are we going to remember anything when the next series comes out, though? No idea. I guess we have to reread all of them.
Nah, we'll just rewatch the live show.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me.
Something that I was confused about in this one is that when your is he called Yoru Sulfur? Yoru?
Yeah.
When he turns out to be an eater, people seem surprised. But they were there when that train exploded and he started eating people. Do you remember? Like, the train exploded, the burners put a bomb in the train and they were at the train demonstration and the train blew up and loads of people died and he just went apeshit and started eating people. But when he was revealed to be an eater again, everyone was like, oh my god.
Did people see him eat people?
I assume so. Like, I know Savine was definitely there, right?
Like, hear me out. If there was an explosion, like
A lot of chaos.
a lot of dust.
No, but they must have done, because if we were reading it, we were reading it from someone's perspective, and I think it was Savine's.
Oh.
I think there were other things going through her brain.
What train?
What do you mean? What
I can,
Even I'm like, what train? No, I don't know.
No, I
can see this, but I'm not thinking about it or
I
storing
did.
it in memory.
I did have a moment in this book where I was thinking about that, and I was like, is this series? Like, is this something that happened in this series, or am I making it up? Also knew, okay, it was Also who knew. Also was at the train, not Savine, and we were reading from Also's perspective. So this then makes sense because it was Savine that was shocked, but I thought it was Savine that was at the demonstration and then was shocked that he was an eater.
I find that it's kind of bullshit, though. Sorry. Also,
I said
also regarding also that Leo was gonna get fucking like decapitated or whatever the hell it was, like strangulation. What's it called? Lynching? What's it called? Like
Hanged?
Thank you. He was gonna be hanged, and like also decided to like be like he can live, and yet he doesn't extend the same capacity to him to be at least somewhat understanding because he's such a fucking greedy motherfucker. I'm sorry, I'm just getting so angry. I hate Leo so much. He's such a piece of shit. Like he's actually.
But I
such a
think
piece of shit.
Leo accurately knows that Orso did that for his wife, not for him.
Yeah, but then he's still a pussy ass.
Savine,
I hear you. I hear you, but in the end of the day, it's the same thing as like, Savine made the orphanage to make herself look good. In the end of the day, he still lived. You know what I mean? So I just find him such an ungrateful little shithead.
Oh, I mean, he absolutely has no redeeming value in my mind at this point. But
take all of Glokta's pain, triple it, and give it to Leo. I feel bad that like his mum's son is such a fuck up. Like I feel bad for the woman that she's related to that.
I mean, he has no feeling for his children. He barely likes his wife anymore.
It's like he was so cute. I'm so sad. Like in the beginning, in the first book.
No,
I hope his friend Durand like fucking rejects his ass like outright. Like just fucks up his like feelings somehow. Like,
I love how Savine is kind of orchestrating that relationship, but through Durand. So she's like suggesting to him that they can have a relationship if like they do what Savine wants, and Durand's the one who's going to make it happen because Leo is so bigoted that he can't look past his own homophobia to make it happen for himself.
Mm-hmm. I keep going back to the scaffolds and how messed up those were, and they keep changing them, and then they messed up more. I feel like there's grounds there for Orso to come back.
Oh, Finri. I love Finri as well, and that's why Leo sucks even harder. And then
she's young, she can have another kid, like a better legacy. Like I hate the whole legacy conversations where she'd be like, I want to have a kid for my legacy. But Finri deserves a better legacy than this. This kid's dumb.
And then what did Goss say to Leo when he died? Something like, tell your mum something. And he was like, no. Which makes sense to me, fair.
I'm with you, Jonna. I know it's effed up, but even I'm just like, yeah.
But Zafina is a well-known incest shipper.
No. Name one other situation.
John and Danny.
That's what is so. It's normal.
Name one of it.
Barbarians. It's normal for them. I'm sorry. You're not allowed to give me shit for this. As if like I'm about to say the British monarchy aren't a bunch of like cousin diddlers.
Am I responsible for the British monarchy? Me?
No,
or
but
working
it's not
class family
as
and half
bad.
monarchy?
It's not as bad.
You're still an
In a
incest shipper.
In a fantasy world where it's normal for them.
I'm not gonna lie,
don't
I
think
am
it's
also
normal
an
for
incest
them,
shipper,
though.
but you just made it so easy for me to just like lead straight into that.
But
In
like,
this situation, all I'm just saying is like it's kind of
but
fucked up, and I get it.
with John and Dan, it's different because they don't know they're related when they go off. So that means it's kind of gross.
Well, I mean, Savine
You're
and Orso
muted.
didn't know it first.
Yeah,
So
but then it
she's
became
going off
gross.
to leave her muted.
Saf,
I'm a
you
dumbass,
muted.
but they didn't know at first either, and then it happened. I'm not shipping it. I'm just saying I have compassion for the situation, in the sense that like I understand that it's probably really, really tough for them.
Patricia's coming through with the quotes. Goss said, "Tell your mother I always held her in high esteem." And their relationship was, well, it wasn't a relationship, it was Goss like following her around and being creepy as fuck. But it sounds romantic. That's why like he's always loved her. As if she'd care a shit. Oh. Yeah, and he was so in the Heroes, he was walking around being really pissy because she didn't love him. Because she had a husband. And he thought that it was his high-pitched voice. That's why everyone hated him. Yeah. And he was being really entitled about it and pissy. And it was not great, but yeah. Anyone notice the first scene we see also is at a hanging and him saying he hates hanging? The last scene we see also is his hanging saying the same thing.
Poor Orso.
Don't make me sad, man.
I remember Ghost and Finry, and I also remember the Heroes is the rocks and the people who were camped at the rocks. Because was it Three Trees? Or has Three Trees been dead forever?
He's been dead since like the original trilogy. I swear to God, he died in the last book in the first trilogy.
Clover was there though, right? And the one that peels the cheese in this book was from the Heroes.
Peel the cheese!
Yeah, she's really good at peeling cheese, and it's all she wants to do with her life. Not even joking. But shaving cheese. Like she wants to make cheese so thin that she can see through it, and that's all she does throughout the book is sit and
You know what? I respect this. This is a dream I have now. I wish we bring back old occupations. I too want to be a cheese peeler.
Sure. And then the one that he killed, that Clover killed at the end of the first book, is that wonderful? She is the second of whoever's the leader in the Heroes. Tony's in the Heroes as well.
All the jobs that were taken away by the Industrial Revolution. Cheese peeling included.
Cheese peeling.
Yes, it was. Yes, the Heroes are old and nobody knows how they got there. I know Wonderful was great. That whole band from the Heroes that were camped at the Heroes, I really liked. I can't remember who the leader was.
I don't remember any of these people.
I can't remember a single person you guys have been talking about. No, I remember Logan. I swear.
I remember being sad about Wonderful. I do remember that.
Literally, my entire memory of anyone who's not relevant to this specific book, and even then, it is like I remember Monza because I love her. Bay. This guy really likes his. This was another mirroring point in that Monza and Savine situation, and then like the dumbass brother situation with the whole also thing. I was like, oh, it's kind of like happening again.
Oh, we're in a fly. He was one of the Northmen as well.
I remember.
I did not fuck Temple. But I also didn't really like that book very much. Actually, no. I liked the end of it, but by the time I got to the end, I was a bit lost.
Lost in
space.
That's a
Temple is the
problem.
girl who's the main character in Red Country, right?
Who?
Temple.
Yeah. Like her, like no, I thought Temple was the guy that she was with.
Yeah, no, I mean I said Temple is with the girl that's the main character.
Yeah.
I can't
Like, I
remember.
remember those two, and I liked those two, and I liked that they had a happy ending.
I feel like reading the Reddit makes me want to, but in reality, I never will. And if I did, I've already unhauled 2 of the standalones, so I will be rereading
Oh,
those. Yeah.
I feel like I would reread it on audio.
Apparently, the audio is good, but doesn't he make lots of like spitting noises, and I just can't deal with that.
Yeah, but I put it on 2.5 and I probably won't hear it.
You just like,
I didn't notice issues with this trilogy, at least.
Ricka's first vision in A Little Hatred is folk falling from high towers, folk hanged, rows of them battle below a red hill.
damn.
Oh yeah. The grunting as well.
Yeah.
The sex scenes, and they're pretty bad. I remember because I was reading all the sex scenes in Before They Were Hanged. No, not Before They Were Hanged. The one Best Served Cold. And then the one when I finally decided to skip the sex scenes, it was the only relevant one where something happened more than sex, and it was the one where like Monza and Shivers like switched partners and stuff.
They like it made it seem like they were actually sleeping with each other, but they were actually sleeping with 2
Yeah,
different people.
That's the one that I skipped, and then I got to the end, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I had to read it, and I was like, "So I read all the pointless ones," and then the when I finally decided to skip, it was actually relevant.
Grimace got fixed for this trilogy. Someone finally told him how the word was pronounced.
Grimace.
Yes. Everything up until this trilogy was Grimace, and I got to the end of the first book of this trilogy, and I had to Kindle search to see if the author stopped using the word because it annoyed me so much every time it came up. And nope, it was in there. He just pronounced it properly.
I don't know if I could do it because like the audiobook for Children of Fallen Gods, I was listening to it like I'm switching between the ebook and the audio, and the male narrator really like, I don't know if it's because it's an indie book, so it's like a lower budget production, but like you can really hear when he says an S and it's like a sh sound, and it makes me flinch. Like I do not like it, so I don't think I can handle what.
Is it his voice, or do you think his mic isn't properly optimized?
I think it's his microphone, like because I said it's a lower budget production. Like he sounds like he's a little bit too close to it, and so it makes me cringe every time.
I just did the eyeballs are the best part, and I don't know if it's the microphone or the narrator swallowing constantly throughout, but that audio was horrible.
Usually they're meant to like generally avoid having intakes of breath as well as like gulps and stuff like that. And
it needed editing.
Yeah.
And this was the like copy from the library. It wasn't like an advanced copy or anything where they.
I do not like listening to spitty voices like this, so I no. Like if it's a person IRL, that's just normal. But I mean, like if I'm listening to ordinary, I couldn't do it.
I only don't like it when like there's a female narrator and she uses like I really like nasal voice. I don't know how to describe it. Like really high pitched, like super.
My pet peeve with audio is when they need to distinguish different voices, and so they whisper as like one of the like they make their voice very soft and quiet for one of the characters. And I'm like, I'm in a car, there's background noise, I need to be able to hear what you're saying. And that drives me up the wall.
This is valid.
Do we have anything else to cover on this book / series? If anybody in the chat has anything we would like to cover, then now is the time to tell us.
My comment is, it's over!
The serotonin and boost of finishing a series like this is definitely big.
Oh, Shivers. Do we have anything to say about Shivers? I mean,
love him, want to see him come back. He's done great.
It's great. The banter between him and Ricka in this one was good.
Becca, what is next?
Are we doing that now? I wanted to know if we had any more topics first.
About anything in general?
I keep giving people clues about what's next because everybody.
I've never seen this. There you go. That's a topic. I've actually never watched whatever this is. I got this shirt for free from my job.
Whatever this is. You've never heard of it either?
Star Wars t-shirt. I was like, does that?
It says the Book of Boba Fett, and I was like, I thought that was like some alien dude. Like who?
There's another short story collection.
I vaguely remember us talking about that at one point.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Given how much we hated the short story collection, that doesn't call to me.
That can wait. No.
Yes, somebody can read it and report back in the Discord if it's at all worth anybody's
It
time.
was is it the TLDR? Too lazy TL.
Yeah, too long didn't read.
TLDR.
Too
That's
long
literally
didn't
too
read.
lazy to read. First war. I'm just looking at it because I don't know what it is.
No, we talked about it at one point, and I think we decided we would see if we cared later.
Yeah, and people are saying it's not widely available, which I guess is why. I don't know what it is.
I feel like I just need a break from this world and series, especially after Orso's death, and just like how much I hate Leo.
Oh, it's a collector's edition, and not a lot of libraries have it. It's called The Great Change and Other Lies. That sucks, but it's not widely available because it's Age of Madness related, I would be more tempted. And if it has like an actual point, like an actual topic, as opposed to the other one, which was just random bits of whatever.
Maybe it's like on Kindle Unlimited or something.
Maybe.
What's it called again? Where was it?
Change and Other Lies.
Great.
But Lisa said it's a collector's. It's got a collector's edition.
Or is it part of a collector's edition?
Okay,
Maybe.
so it's like $6 on Kindle.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
So you have to buy it with
$6 for a 200-page thing.
Not 280 to 100.
No, it says here 77 pages.
Oh my gosh.
It's not in the Libby system, so
At that point, just put it on
probably not
Kindle
likely.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
Should we tell them what we're reading next then?
Ooh.
Seems like it.
I'll let
might be
Sandra prepare
a shame.
herself.
I need to prep myself.
Did you have a YouTube announcement video, or is this like
No,
happening
the
right now?
announcement video will be going up in October, but people just keep asking me, so if you're not
I'm
here,
ready.
Guys, we're finding out. Wait, hold on. Let me get my copy as well. Like,
I can already see yours though.
okay, fine.
You could just point to the appropriate place.
So first off, we will announce our new host. We'll have all four of us are staying. We'll have two new hosts joining us, which I've already given people clues about as well, because people keep asking me. They are hosts that you have seen before. We will have Aaron from Booked and Busy joining us, who is a big fan of this series, or the first part of the new series that we're reading. And Gavin reads it all. I nearly said How to Train Your Gavin. That's not.
I was about to say How to Train Your Gavin as well. Or
well, he's almost called himself that a couple times recently. So.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. And the new series we will be reading is The Faithful and the Fallen, and the other series. What's it called, Sandra? You've got it in your hands. The other one.
Blood and Bone.
Of Blood and Bone by John Gwynne. So this will be starting in, technically the reading months will be November and December. The first live show will be January, and it will end in January 2026. One book every 2 months, 7 books in total.
I'm so confused. Why are we starting in November, December? Why not October?
Oh, no, because the technical, so like we do the live show the month after. So like the book for November and December will be Malice, and then the live show is the beginning of January. So I always read it in January, but technically everybody should be reading.
What happened to September and October?
Because if we start in December, then the months will line up with Wheel of Time.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm stupid. Continue.
It's all your fault, Sandra, basically.
It's my fault.
Literally. The reason, if anybody wants to know why we were 2 minutes late starting this live show, it's because Sandra went to get the books and it took her like 3 years.
Yeah, because they were like stuck behind all the books because I have them hidden.
So yeah, there we go. It's about giants. It's got a lot of characters, so probably not the best after what we just been saying about Joe Abercrombie.
Well, the first book doesn't have a ton. There's a lot. You just keep adding more characters as the books go along.
Yeah, I believe all I've heard about this is that when you read especially the first 2 books, there's just more and more and more characters, and you don't know why anybody's relevant until you do. So, is there a character list?
Can you read us the blurb of the first book?
You want my edition?
I can. Does anyone have a character list in book 2? Because book 1 doesn't have one.
Is it maybe at the end?
No, it's not. That's why I checked first.
Oh, Sandra's probably.
Malice is
checking.
indeed the first one.
Yes, cast of
Also
characters.
Does
Oh,
believe
nice.
in maps.
It does indeed have a character list. I do remember because I kept checking it when I was reading it.
I do think it's a perfect series to have this type of setup because if you leave too long between books, you do start forgetting things.
How many of you read that?
I read the first 4, but I tuned out kind of after the second because I left too long and I totally lost track of characters. So I'm excited to reread and actually pay attention.
I also read the whole first one, but I also like that. Don't remember shit.
So is the first quartet like a story in itself, and then the next trilogy is like based in the same world? And
Yeah,
it's a
I think
different story.
I've heard it's. I didn't know how they were connected. I just knew that they were in the same world. I believe that the second 3 are 1,000 years after the first 4.
Okay.
So probably we can count on not many characters coming back.
The series after is called. It's the one that Sandra's holding. What's the series?
Of Blood and Bone.
Of Blood and Bone.
So not Children of Blood and Bone, but Tommy Adeyemi. But just of Blood and Bone.
I have not read them.
I did not originally realize there was a continuation or a in the same world thing.
I think what I know about it is that there's giants and it's a war between giants and men, but the war has ended, but then it starts up again, I think. And I'll read the synopsis if anybody wants to hear it. It says, the banished lands have a violent past where armies of men and giants clashed in battle. An uneasy peace reigns, but now giants stir once more. The very stones weep blood, and there are sightings of gigantic worms. Those who can still read the signs see a prophecy realized. Sorrow will darken the world as angels and demons make it their battlefield. Young Corbin, who has been compared to Fitz, I've heard, watches enviously as boys become warriors and yearns to join them, determined that he will make his family proud. It is only when everything he knows is threatened that he discovers the true cost of becoming a man. As the kings look to their borders and priests beg answers from the gods, only a chosen few know that the fate of the world will be decided between 2 champions, the Black Sun and the Bright Star, and with their coming will be a war to end all wars. There we go.
This already just sounds so freaking good. And then on top of that, like the fact that there's like worms and giants, etc., it's giving fantasy, it's giving mythology, it's giving magical, it's giving God of War. Like this is just so much more my speed. And no, I actually haven't read this series before. I've had like the quartet on my bookshelves for the longest time, so I'm just so excited to find.
I also have the quartet and I've had it for ages and not started it.
You haven't read it either, right? So it's like going to be the first time for both of us.
Sandra, have you read it?
Yeah, I read all first 4.
Yeah, but
like I really liked the first one, and then I don't remember anything after that because I was like, ugh. So I hope I like it more now.
I love this too, and there is wolf stuff going on in here. I think that goes into the Fitz comparison too. The first chapter is under the wolf moon. So
I bought this trilogy in May because I knew we were gonna probably read it. I'm buying it now, Becca.
Yeah, I know you were saying it. I was like, dude, we're not reading it. We'll start that trilogy like in a year from now.
Yeah.
But I wanted it done.
Well, the first live show would be what, July for it? No. September. No, September. You're right. A year.
September. Yeah, September, November.
January.
Will be those.
Ooh, the writing is so good already. I like this writing stuff.
This is why I don't tell people too early, because you're all going to read it and then you're going to be like, sorry, I'm not doing this book club. I've all read it.
No, that's not how I function.
People have been asking me what series we're reading next since January this
year. And it's been heavily hinted also. Like,
yeah.
Like it's also, like these are massive. Like it might take people a while to get through them anyway. So it's like,
how long is this one? Like 600 pages.
And think about it, when we finish this one, we are like at that point, we are already done with Wheel of Time. So you will feel better.
True. What's the vibe in this one? Is it like martial fantasy?
What's the martial fantasy?
Martial fantasy is like war, or like Game of Thrones is martial fantasy. Martial sci-fi.
No,
like it starts with them, and the main character is very young at the start, like almost like the whole Fitz, like where we see him as a boy originally and growing up and learning. The audiobook's 24 hours, which is not that bad.
Wow.
Or there's a 26-hour version. I don't
For
know.
anyone who's read them, I just have 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, are there... Well, actually 3 questions. 1, are there female characters?
Yes.
Yes.
2, are there good female characters?
It's been too long.
It's been too long to answer this
The
question.
fact that you can't remember that is worrying. 3, is there any romances? Not that I give that much of a shit, but I'm still curious.
I feel like maybe. I don't remember.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think
there
it's
is someone
common.
getting together, but I cannot remember who right now.
I'm more concerned that you're saying that there's no, like, you couldn't remember if there's any good female characters. Like, well,
but there is
maybe
one.
female
There's
There's
one
like
character.
the sister. There's a sister that becomes a POV at some point.
Okay,
is
someone said that
Savine?
Angel said I really like Gwyn's female characters in his new trilogy. So okay, so he has good ones in his.
Yeah.
He theoretically
Amazing.
knows how to write them.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, because the chapters are labeled by character names, and I mean,
Yeah,
chapter
that is kind of nice. though.
7
Yeah,
is one of them.
but like, I'm looking at some of these names and I'm like, these are made up names. So like, I don't know if they're male or female.
But Cywin, or however it's pronounced, Cywen, I think that might be the sister, but POV character, female.
Oh
Her.
yes, Tywin gritted her teeth. Okay, I'm not reading anymore
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
will spoil myself inevitably. So put that down there and just like not look at
I think the majority of the POVs are male, from what I remember. Which again, this is a long time ago, and I barely remember the book we just talked about. But there are some. I do remember that. But is this finally a series that Catch Up is doing where there's no possibility the series is still going on?
Oh, is there not? Is there?
No. I was just gonna say, will this be the one that it's done?
I mean, I feel like the fact that he wrote a trilogy afterwards that's set 1,000 years after implies that he could be done for now and then just randomly at one point decide that's going to be more.
Has he been writing something else afterwards?
He was writing the Shadow of Gods trilogy, but hasn't that just finished?
Your last book is coming like now.
Yeah.
I remember I really wanted to read that one as well because it looked like insane.
Yeah, but I had this first book for ages, and then I worked with a bookshop, Books to Door, where they gave me like credit to spend on the store, and I got the full series. So then I wasn't going to get the Shadow of the Gods, even though I really want it because it's stunning. Because I already have this one.
Yeah, I do like these covers a lot too, though.
I bought this
They
random in
fit
store like
together.
years ago because it looked cool, and then I had it for years before I read it.
I'm not gonna lie, I was interested in Shadow of Gods for the same exact reason. I was like, this is a cool cover, and then I read the blurb and I was like, this is cool. Like, especially because it was just like very fresh like after I'd like finished God of War for the first time, and I was like, I want to read books that make me feel like this. I want to feel this environment. I want to feel like really cool, like an epic and action.
This book was published in 2012, which means that he has knocked out 10 thick fantasy books in 12 years.
Okay, Brandon Sanderson looking at us, like,
Okay, George R. Martin, are you hearing this?
I was thinking because Deb said about finally reading a series that there's no possibility of any more books. What are we going to do when Winds of Winter, Robin Hobb's new book, and a First Law book comes out in the same year?
catch up.
It's gonna be a year.
And we obviously have the Catch Up book club, part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Oh no, the recatching. The recatching.
The recatching book.
The recatching up book
You
club.
do one live show of, okay, let's remind each other what happened at the end of the last series, and then launch into the rest of it.
But like I did not end up loving the series in the end, so I was like considering unhauling it. So if these news had come later, it might have been in the unhaul. But now I have new hopes with new people. I will enjoy it more.
I think this is going to be a series that'll be really good to have people to talk about.
Yeah, because I was reading it
Talk about it
isolated and alone and confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of
Someone
it.
asked as well. Who was it? Where's it
Oh,
gone?
so the
What?
third part of that Bloodsworn trilogy comes out this October, so
Yeah.
which is next month.
Yeah, seriously.
Like knows what he's working on next.
It's my birthday in 13 days. Smile. Sorry.
I cannot confirm whether we are getting a new catch-up bookmark because I'm now thinking about the fact that people keep asking me if I'm doing a bookathon and I still don't know. And if I was, it would be less than a month away. And then after that, I would have to remake all of the graphics for this to announce this. So depending on whether I can do all of that depends on whether we get a new bookmark, because that will be the last thing that I did of all of the things. A lot of things. I don't even know if we're going to be on Twitter anymore, guys, because I don't go on Twitter apart from to announce these, and nobody else is on Twitter anymore. So I've got some things to think about, and I hate thinking. So
I think you're really good at thinking. You're the smartest I know. You got it. I demand bookmark. I want one.
But
Can I
there's a
get a
difference between being good at something and wanting to do it.
it's true. Thinking hurts my head. I don't want to think anymore.
Too many thoughts.
Too many
I carry on getting these books digitally anyway, because I'm just kind of also like, one, I just don't have the shelf space, and two, I don't know, man, I love it. The main thing I love is discussing them, but it's like, because a lot of the times I don't know if I love them. I've just become more and more skeptical, so I'm just like, I'm only gonna buy hard copies if I know I'm gonna love it.
But you have the paperbacks in your shelf. Or you gonna?
Because I'm a dumbass and I bought the whole series ages ago and I never read it.
Yeah, but I do that too.
How many of these I've read? Not many.
Yeah, I do the same, but now I become better, and now I don't do that anymore.
Now I only buy digital versions if I'm gonna buy a version. Like
I
unless
don't buy
I
digital.
know I'm
I
gonna
don't
love
buy
it.
anything digital. But most of this series we just finished, I got from the library because I knew I wasn't going to want to keep them.
I don't pay more than 99p for an ebook, because if I paid full price for this, I could resell it for half price. Like if I buy an ebook, it's fucking worthless.
That's valid.
I'm not in the Discord. Can someone send me a link? I tried to find it.
What Discord?
I'll do this.
Discord for the Firstlawalong.
There's a Discord for this?
It's
Do you
not for
see,
spies.
guys? Do you see why I don't bother?
I'm in the Discord. I get the alert.
So I think that's it. I think that's all we have to tell you. We will see you in January. And if you're doing Wheel of Time, we will see you before then. There is a Discord. Don't worry about it. It will be in the link of the next announcement video. It's in the description of the last announcement video. But y'all could just wait for the next one now, because there's nothing relevant in there at this point, because we're starting a new series soon. Thank you, Emily.
I honestly never go in there except for when there's announcements. But
I don't go in that. Like, honestly, I am in a lot of Discords, and I do not look at a single one apart from my own. So, yeah.
You could change the link so it doesn't expire. But Becca has to do that. Sorry. Continue.
I think I have. I should have done when I did it, but that was like a year and a half ago. So I normally do change them so they don't expire. You're welcome. Okay, we're going. We'll see you soon. Bye, Malice. Don't read it. And we'll see you in January. Bye.